Hello friends, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365, and in this video I'm going to give you my November 2021 movie recommendations. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification. You can also find me over Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Movie Guy 365. Okay, it's that time of the month where I give you my movie recommendations. Now, if you're a follower of the channel, you know when I do disc reviews, I focus mostly on the picture and audio aspects of said disc, and I only talk a little bit about the movie itself. But I thought I would do a once-a-month video where I talk about movies I watch in just my downtime, something I'm interested in, not worrying about the technical aspects. And I thought I would pass on what I've watched to you, and hopefully it'll give you some inspiration to pick it up and check it out for yourself. So let's not waste any time, let's dive right in. I may have mentioned in a previous video once or twice that I also do a weekly podcast called Make Remake, where we discuss the original film, and if it was remade at some point, we talk about the comparison between the two. So the one we just did about a week or so ago had to do with Sabrina, the original classic, and of course the newer version starring Harrison Ford, which we won't talk about here, but the original starring Humphrey Bogart and Audrey Hepburn. Great Hollywood classic film. Audrey Hepburn is just forever like a big crush for me, and I enjoy anything that, you know, she's in. But yeah, as far as a film, this is great. If you're not familiar with the story, it's a young girl that's, you know, the daughter of a chauffeur driver, and she's in love with one of the rich people that her father works for, and, you know, she has a schoolgirl crush kind of thing, and she goes off and becomes, you know, involved in the culinary arts and comes back, and, you know, the one brother is vying for her attention, but he's also engaged, and the other brother is just trying to, you know, kind of nix that whole thing happening. But I really enjoy this one. Sabrina is classic Hollywood, and, you know, going back to old stuff in cinema is really a treat for me, and I enjoy this one quite a bit, and revisiting this one for the podcast was also very welcome. But yeah, I would recommend Sabrina, this version, not the remake, but check this one out if you get a chance. This one, I was so happy they announced it for Blu Ray, because I don't think I owned a DVD copy of this one, but this is one of my favorite Steve Martin films of all time, like favorites. And me growing up in California, I understood the references, so that I think that made it a little bit more fun for me, and that is LA Story. I love this film. It is witty, it's funny, it's just got so many great lines, and it's got an awesome cast. You know, Steve Martin, young Sarah Jessica Parker, she's great in this one. And I think really if you are from LA, you get a greater appreciation for the comedy here. But I recommend this one highly. It's hysterical. Just watched it not too long ago. I love it. I think it's just phenomenal, and I don't know if I would say it's underrated, but I don't think a lot of people when they think of Steve Martin films, they go for other, you know, like Dirty Rotten Scoundrels and, you know, Three Amigos, which are great films. This one, I think, really deserves to be up there in my opinion. So yeah, LA Story, it's now on Blu Ray. Recently watched Dune from director Denis Villeneuve, and I wanted to go back and revisit some of his older work. And I picked up a couple of these on Blu Ray. And I had actually never seen this one, so I'm adding this to my recommendation because I was, you know, very impressed with how it is. And it's Jake Gyllenhaal in Enemy. This one is great. It's really kind of one of those that I had a WTF moment at the very end of the film, but then, you know, reading about it and everything, I loved the style. It's kind of got a bleak look to it, like visually, but the story is awesome. You know, it's a man that discovers that he has quote unquote a look-alike who's kind of like an extra in a film, and he goes looking for him, and then the extra becomes involved, you know, with you know, Gyllenhaal's life, and it gives you a lot of just vague questions. But I think ultimately it's kind of a head scratcher, but I think it really works here. It's got a good mystery element to it. And I think it's a great Gyllenhaal performance. He's really great. But yeah, if you want some good, if you're fond of Denis Villeneuve as a director, check out some of his, earlier works, and I think Enemy definitely fits the bill. This one was a new release, and just watched it a couple weeks ago, and I recommend this one, and that is 9 Days, starring Winston Duke. This one's very unique in storytelling. So essentially, he's somebody that is in a, another, I don't want to say it's an afterlife or before life, but it's kind of like, the place where you are before you are born. So he's kind of somebody who observes people that are actually alive, that he has selected previously, and he's able to watch their lives. And when one that he selected unexpectedly, dies, it kind of leaves him in a very weird headspace. But he's also got to interview for the next potential soul to enter the real world. So there's a great cast here. It has some good stuff to really make you think. It tackles some, before life, metaphysical kind of identities about, life and the soul and, who we are as people. And it has some great scenes in it. And while visually it's not, I would say, something, really stunning, the story is enough to just, keep you going. And check this one out. It's wonderful cast. Winston Duke, Zazie Beetz, Benedict Wong, Tony Hale. Like, there's a great cast here. So yeah, I would highly recommend 9 Days. With the upcoming prequel, The Kingsman, coming finally after many delays due to COVID, and I think also the Disney purchasing Fox buyout had something to do with that being delayed. I wanted to go back and revisit this one, and I think a lot of people do like this one, but maybe just kind of a reminder, if you haven't seen it, The Kingsman, The Secret Service. I love this one. I think it's great. I think Colin Firth really stands out here as, I love the premise of kind of like an undercover, MI6 type organization that really just dates back forever. And it's really got a great energy to it. A lot of good actions. Samuel L. Jackson plays a fantastic villain in this one. And I revisit this one, and of course the sequel is also good, but I feel this one is very strong. And I think Matthew Vaughn directing really just, I think has a lot of great stuff to it. It's a lot of fun, plenty of action, and go back and reacquaint yourself with the original. I like The Kingsman, and hopefully they make more in the world. This one it's a Guy Ritchie film, but it's got some of his touches, but it kind of has its own identity. King Arthur, I think, is very underrated. When we think of Guy Ritchie, of course we think of Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, and other films, that has his style. And while this has it, it's kind of really it's a fantasy setting, set in the world of King Arthur, but it really has its own take. And I appreciate it. I think it's really a lot of fun. It's got a giant snake. You can't beat that. And I feel that it has a really good cast. Great villain, great, protagonist. And, it's something that a lot of people, I think, based off of a Rotten Tomato score, we're staying away from. It's like they see a bad Rotten Tomato score or something, and they're like, they just stay away from it. But, try this one. I think it's a lot of fun, and it looks really great on 4K. That's besides the point, but it's a good, entertaining film from director Guy Ritchie. This one came out I believe it was last January, so it was this previous year, or this year. This one hit me unexpectedly, like how much I enjoyed it. And it has a unique world, great characters, and that is Love and Monsters. I think this is a well done film. It's got a post-apocalyptic setting, but not in the way you're thinking. It's very colorful, and it's kind of got a great world to it. And one character is trying to, humanity's kind of spread out in bunkers after, what happens in the film. And he, he has a girlfriend that he had in the life before that, and she's trapped in another bunker. And, he's trying to find her because I think something happens where, like, she's not responding to his, calls. But he's going out and trying to find her, and the world is just fantastic. Like, this is something I would, if you're playing like an open world RPG kind of film or game, I think you would really like take away a lot of stuff from this, but this was great. And, you know, it doesn't have any huge stars attached to it. I mean, there are some recognizable faces, of course, but I think this is a lot of fun. And at the end of the day, that's really all we need in a great movie. It's just to sit back and enjoy it. And I think Love and Monsters, please check this one out. It's very, I don't think a lot of people know about it, but it's great. It's a lot of fun. This one I picked up at the last Criterion 50% off sale, which is, as of this video, still going on. I Married a Witch, starring Veronica Lake, and this one, this is funny. Like, I was very surprised on how much I laughed at this one. It's great. You know, she plays a witch from, I guess it was like the 1700s or, you know, something like that. And of course, you know, she was engaged to somebody and he found out she was a witch, and, you know, they, you know, try to burn her at the stake, and she curses his family. I know it sounds real serious, but it's really played for laughs. And I think that my favorite scenes are the little transitions near the beginning of the film where they're going through the ages of his descendants and witnessing the curse of love, you know, just take hold. And it's, you know, it's great seeing Veronica Lake on screen. I mean, she's absolutely gorgeous, and she's hysterical also in this one. There's a lot of funny moments in it. I recommend this one. It's not, you know, when you're thinking of a witch film, it's not, you know, horror or anything like that. You can watch this any time of the year and really enjoy it. But once again, classic Hollywood. I love this one. I think you should definitely check out I Married a Witch. Going back to Guy Ritchie for a moment, this one I was kind of expecting a 4K. I was kind of wishing we did get one. I was holding out, but ultimately I got the Blu Ray, and I think it really, you know, while it's a Guy Ritchie film, it's probably the most un-Guy Ritchie film I know of the director. It really, it kind of takes, you know, a lot of beats from directors like Michael Mann and Heat, and really just kind of has its own spin. I mean, of course, we have Jason Statham, you know, Guy Ritchie regular, Wrath of Man on Blu Ray. I enjoy this one. It's a great crime drama. It's set in my favorite, you know, location, which is Los Angeles, and I love, you know, I love a good crime film, but also a touch of revenge caper to it. And, you know, Jason Statham plays really a cool character. I mean, he isn't his typical Statham self, you know, if that makes any sense. You know, you're not going to see, you know, like Statham from, let's say, Snatch or Hobbs and Shaw or something. He's very different, and I like the film. I think it really works. It has a great soundtrack to it, and it's just a lot of fun if you want a good crime drama. And, you know, if I had not told you Guy Ritchie directed this, as I said, you never would know, really. I think it's just really well done, and you should definitely check out Wrath of Man. And finally, this month, this movie, when you think of Nicolas Cage, I know there's a ton of things that pop into your head. Of course, he does a lot. I just watched one recently, Prisoners of the Ghostland, which is, you know, crazy Nicolas Cage, you know, direct to Blu Ray, DVD kind of stuff that he's been putting out. And while this falls under that category, it's a very different film. And this one I didn't know too much going in. I didn't even see a trailer, I don't believe, and just had friends recommending it to me. I took a chance, did a blind buy, and I loved it. And that is Nicolas Cage and Pig. Now, I went back, and if you go back and watch the trailer, you're kind of thinking it's a John Wick style, you know, revenge thing. It is further from the truth. Like, that is not this film at all. This movie is all about just, you know, loss and love and how somebody deals with it. And this is so well done. I would say this is probably my biggest recommendation for this month. I love it. I think Cage is great in the role. It reminds you, like, the man can act. You know, he can really act in a great drama. And I was very surprised at how much I enjoyed this one. It's got some heavy moments, but there's great scenes. There's so many great scenes. I don't want to spoil anything about the film. You know, if you want a recommendation, if you take only one away from this particular video, watch Pig. It's really cheap. You can get it very, you know, at a good price, and I don't think you'll regret it. So take out the John Wick style thing you have in your mind, sit back and enjoy it. Pig, my big recommendation for this particular month. So that is everything I watched and recommend to you for November 2021. If you're interested in picking up any of these titles, I will leave an Amazon link in the comment section. If you use it, it really helps out the channel. But I want to hear from you. Are any of these going to be on your radar? And what would you recommend to me for future videos? In the meantime, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. So until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. I will see you at the movies.